Hey guys, Chris from Provo Beast Audio Installation, and in today's video we're going to be installing an amp and sub in this 2016 Toyota Prius. Now in this install we're going to show you how to install that amp and sub to an existing factory radio. Let's get started. Now, before we jump into things, I do want to make one quick note. With your Prius, there's going to be some variations across the different Prius platforms. Now, of this generation, you have the regular Prius, you have the Prius C, and then you also have the Prius V. This happens to be the V, which is the wagon. Now, across those three platforms, your battery may be one of three places. We're going to show you all those potential locations for your install at home. Finally, you may or may not have the JBL factory upgraded sound system. If you have the JBL, it may also slightly change or vary your install at home, where you'll have to integrate with the factory amp. In our install today, we're working on the Prius V, and we do not have JBL, so for us, this makes for a nice and simple install. Now here up underneath the hood, this could be one of three battery locations based on the trim level and the version Prius that you're working with. Now obviously we don't have a 12 volt battery here, but we do have some electrical components for our high voltage battery that's generally indicated by these orange cables. In our case, no 12 volt battery is up underneath the hood, but if you did have one, you'd simply just tap into that and run your wire traditionally through the firewall, just like any normal gas powered vehicle. So nothing here. We can shut the hood. We'll show you the second potential battery location. Now, battery location number 2 could certainly be here underneath the back seat. Just kind of, again, depending on your trim level, our seats move forward and back, but you may have a battery up underneath the seat that's held in with a little trim panel. Again, we don't have that here. There's nothing under these seats. You can actually look fully under these seats, so it's not in this location. Final location will be here in the trunk area, and we indeed have our 12 volt battery located here, not far from the high voltage battery located there. Now, our 12 volt battery is where we'll need to power our amplifier. Now we're going to be tapping into our power there of our 12 volt battery and running it to the amplifier power. It's really easy to get to this location. All these panels are not held on with clips or anything. They all just simply come out, and that will expose your 12 volt battery. You will need access to this as you install your amplifier. So without further ado, let's head over to the bench to show you the parts that we're going to need for the install. Alright, so here are the bench. The parts that we're going to need for the install, first and foremost, is the amp and sub that we're going with. Now this customer wants us to put in this budget-friendly 8-inch under-seat powered subwoofer. What's special about this is the amplifier is built into the subwoofer itself. It's an all-in-one unit. It does claim 400 watts peak power, but generally based on the amp size here, we can expect between probably 100, 150 to 200 watts RMS at the most. Now to accommodate this in our vehicle, since we have the factory audio sound system, we'll need a bit of wiring and adapters. Now our wiring, first and foremost, this can accommodate up to an 8 gauge here, but it uses this style harness connection. It actually doesn't use a traditional screw down harness connection, and so we'll use and have to integrate into that harness provided by the Rockville sub. Now we do recommend an 8 gauge for these type of subwoofer setups here. This is a New Concepts 8 gauge kit. Comes with power, ground, RCAs, remote turn on wire, speaker wire, fuse holder, some split loom, and some odds and ends. Now the factory integration piece. Because we are retaining the factory radio, your radio is not going to have any RCA pre-out, so you're going to need some sort of Lineout Converter. Now there's a couple of different styles of Lineout Converters here on the market. The pack ones that we have here in the shop today, we have a high powered one and a low powered one here. This one specifically is recommended if you have, for example, the JBL factory audio sound system. This can take an amplified high power input and provide that RCA output for your setup. Now, we don't have JBL, And so our factory radio is not going to be putting out a ton of wattage, and so we can use our basic pack SNI 35, which essentially provides the same thing. You tap these speaker wires into existing speaker wires within the vehicle. Our plan is to go to the B pillar to pull that signal, and it'll convert it to an RCA low level output that can be read by our amplifier. Now, generally speaking, if you have these powered subwoofers, they can actually also take a high level input, but in our experience, most times we'll have actually a better signal if we do use a Lineout Converter instead of the high level input on your built-in amplifier. So the first thing that we need to do is start running our power wire from the battery area. We're going to be mounting this under the driver's side front seat. You can mount your amplifier anywhere in the vehicle. Driver's side front seat's a nice safe place. It's out of the way of feet or any cargo or movement, but at the same time it's still accessible. Then we'll need to install a ground, and then finally our Lineout Converter. We're going to pull apart the B pillar behind the driver's side seat there to tap that into so we can pull signal from the factory audio sound system. Alright, so here at the bench we've started preparing our wiring here. Now this is the current harness that actually came with the unit, the amplified unit, and it has these little pigtails that come off the main harness itself. I'm not a huge fan of these just because it's hard to solder on and make a great connection to run your wiring. I don't like to crimp power and ground terminals using butt connectors if we can avoid it. So fortunately we had some wiring that we could still solder on here. Is strip both ends. We soldered our 8 gauge on there. We've already done a ground here, extended that as well. This is 14 gauge wire according to the print on the side. Put a nice ring terminal for our ground, nice and shorty, and then this length here, it's going to run all the way to the battery, which in our case happens to be in the hatch trunk area. So we're going to move our heat shrink up and over our soldered connection there and start running our power and our ground. And we'll run this length underneath panels to the battery area. Alright, so we went ahead and got our sub mounted. It's actually in there. It wedges between the vent and this with the little feet on it. Now we're going to put a couple screws in there just to make sure it's nice and secure. But other than that, it's not going anywhere. It's a perfect location for this guy. At our main wiring harness, there is a hole in the carpet where your seat harness goes through, so we use that as well, and essentially ran our harness, our RCAs, and our base knob wire through that hole. Now the ground went over here. We found a screw that actually fits and threads within that factory hole. It's not being used. Generally, that's where the JBL amplifier bolts in. We don't have JBL, so what we did is we cleaned up the paint, as you saw before. We put a lock washer and a threaded screw, fits in there great, and it's nice and tight, and that will just fold out of the way. Nice little shorty ground. And then all the other cables come this direction. Now we have our 8 gauge power wire as well as our RCAs coming this way. RCAs will tap into the rear speaker here that's found within the B pillar. We're going to go ahead and pull apart the B pillar so we can snag the positive and negative wire of that speaker in the door for signal. And that's where we're going to mount our Lineout Converter, hence why we have little shorty RCAs for that length. Going this way, we have our remote terminal wire if needed. This has an auto on, but in the event it doesn't work right or it's not reliable, we'll run a remote terminal wire to the fuse box here just in case. And we have our base knob wire, which we're running forward. We'll mount our base knob up here at the convenience of the customer. So that's where we're at. We're starting to zip tie, make sure everything's nice and clean and tidy. So we need to continue running this wire this way. We're going to continue to pop panels off. This big 8 gauge wire needs to run all the way to the battery. So what we've done here is we popped this panel on off. We'll need to do a little vacuuming here, but just held in with clips. You saw us pop that on off so we can run our power wire We just fished up underneath this panel, and then we went straight across here. Now fortunately for us, there is actually plenty of space for you to tuck that wire up underneath this panel, and it'll stay completely out of the way. You don't have to totally remove any of this if you don't want to. It's not going to come out. It's not in the way of any moving parts or anything like that, and so it's a great location for our power wire run. So we went straight across here, and on this side came across. Now there is a 10mm bolt that we did remove here. What that does allow you to do is just get enough space where you can feed that wire up and underneath the wiring for your high voltage battery. And with this already pulled apart, this allowed us access now to run that wire, power wire through. We mounted our inline fuse right there. It's all zip tied, and that goes up here to the positive stud on the battery. We did a little cutout there so our cover still snaps into place. So that's all done. Our inline fuse, we always, like usual in our videos, put some wire ferrules on each end, some heat shrink there. It's all nice and mounted and tidy out of the way, but it's a nice short length between the fuse and the terminal post. We can actually reassemble this back here. We're totally done with the boot, and at this point we need to start reassembling our panels and finish hooking up our Lineout converter. Alright, so next let's talk about this Lineout converter. Now the way that these work, essentially they take a high level amplified speaker input from, for example, a radio, and you tap into any speaker output from that source. So in this case we're going to tap into the speaker leads that go to the rear door speaker, and it's going to feed our Lineout converter just that signal. We're just tapping in, we're robbing that signal, it's going to go in here. Now this does have a left and the right, so if you have audio that you commonly use that have a left and a right in terms of bass, in this case, that have bass maybe out of one side of the car and not the other, you probably want to hook these up one side and the other side. In most instances, generally speaking, you'll be just fine if you actually just pull it from one speaker. You don't need to go to a left and the right. So what we've done in our case is we combined both our solids and both our stripes together, and we extended them just a little bit. We soldered on there so we can run this and have enough length here to install this within the B-pillar itself. Now we're going to tap into our positive and negative wires that go to that rear door speaker, and we're going to rob that signal right before that wire goes through the door grommet into the door itself. So we'll show you where we're going to hook this up. These brown guys are basically grounds. Generally use these speaker grounds for instances if you have like a ground loop noise, buzzing in the speaker, anything like that. You'd want to hook those up. In most instances, as long as you have good RCAs and a really good clean ground like we do, these won't be needed, so we'll just tape them off. We'd like to use a little Tessa tape. We're going to loom the harness and begin installing this, and we'll show you where we're going to make this connection. Alright, so here in the car, now for our signal, we mounted our Lineout converter down there. We'll show you that in a minute, but the harness that we're interested in tapping into for signal is this guy that goes up into the door. Looking a little closer here, there's going to be potentially two sets of black and yellow wires in this door. Just like the previous generation Prius, that's going to be your speaker wire. The one that we're interested in is the one that's lower in the harness. Right there. The lower one there. And essentially here, black's going to be your positive, yellow is going to be your negative. That does sound backwards, but that's correct in terms of polarity. We connected our positive and negative wires from our Lineout converter onto that. We soldered onto that. Now you can use T-taps if you don't want to solder directly. We love to solder, and so we got that all soldered up. We're going to tape up those connections and reloom that harness here, but we just strip back all our shielding to give us the space that we need to make that connection. So that's going to run down. We'll zip tie this in place here. Our Lineout converter is right there, all tucked in with our RCAs, and that goes to our amplifier. So that's it here in this door. Let's go ahead and button this back up and reassemble the B-pillar. Alright, so that's all reassembled here, all zip tied, nice and clean. We can go ahead and reassemble the B-pillar. Alright, so we have just about everything put back together. The last thing is a remote turn-on wire. Now, if yours doesn't auto-sense and turn on like ours didn't, that blue wire off your harness, remember we extended that. We actually ran that up here. Ran that up. And that fuse, 1, 2, 3 down from the top left, is only on with switched power. So we used an add a circuit that plugs in there. We added our own fuse, a little 15 amp fuse there, and that connected into our blue wire that goes to the remote turn on wire. So that's the fuse spot that we suggest that you tap into, and we can link one of these add a circuits in the description of the video for you. Now unfortunately the cover won't fit back on, but we tucked it in the panel just in case we need to reference it later on. Now here at the bench, the easiest way to tap into a fuse, especially if that fuse location on the fuse panel already has an existing fuse in it, is an add a circuit. Now we'll link this in the video description as well, but essentially here this add a circuit allows you to remove that existing fuse and place it in this first slot there, and then you just add your own fuse. You can add a 5-10 amp fuse, that's plenty. There in that second set, essentially that retains that factory fuse without putting any extra load on it, while tapping into that accessory source and sending a fused run to your amplifier remote turn on. So an add a circuit is an awesome way. You don't have to use T-taps. Pull out that fuse, put it in here, put your fuse in the other one, and then crimp this onto that blue wire that goes to your aftermarket amplifier. And again, a couple of bucks, that's all they are, and we'll link it down in the description. Everything's buttoned up here. Negative is back on the battery. Now that's about it for this video. Now if you want any of the parts that we used or any of our recommended parts for your install at home, we'll link everything down in the description of the video. Be sure to hit the like button if you like what you saw, and don't forget to subscribe. We post great content on the channel all the time, and we'll see you in the next video.